All right. Hi, good morning.
Hi, Ingrid.
How's it going?
I'm good. You?
Yes, I've been better, but good. Surviving.
I'm glad that you accepted this meeting. The reason why we're here is because I would like your input on this Indonesia expansion.
Right.
But I know that you're not very happy with this whole situation. So I would like to start by understanding why and then see if we can do something about it. And if yes, then we can discuss the growth strategy.
Right. So interesting. Well, if it's not entirely right to say I'm not happy with the situation. I am happy with A&M. It's
Okay.
a good decision. Finally, that management decided to put the efforts in Indonesia because that's what I've been lobbying for.
Okay.
I don't know, for the past 10 years. It's finally good that the company has decided that that's where the growth is and is investing a lot of time, energy, and resources into the expansion. So that's good news. So I'm actually pretty interested to get your views on what you think the growth strategy for the Indonesian market should be, and then maybe I can fill you in on what I think it is, because I have a few things, but I'm not sure where you're coming from, and it'd be better
Okay,
to
so
maybe get your sense of it, and then
I know that you are the leading expert in Indonesia in this country, so I really value your opinion, and I know that the CEO values your opinion, and that's why I'm here. Also, my understanding is that it would be better to go through an acquisition strategy, and I know that you have the exact opposite opinion, so that's why I
right, interesting. So,
but
would you mind telling me your thought process on why you think acquisition is the best way to go for Indonesian market? Is there something that you're aware
well,
of?
yes. So there's a few things I can tell you.
Sure.
So basically, my feeling is that, well, Indonesia has more than 17,000 islands, right? And if we could, so if we were to buy an established business, it would be a lot faster, and we would eliminate some competition, and we could leverage on, existing business networks and human and intellectual capital.
Right.
So that's the main reason why.
Right. And do you, in your exploratory analysis, do you have some companies that you have in mind which are established in Indonesia, which will help A&M do faster GTM or leverage business networks better?
Not yet.
We're still deciding on what it is. Okay.
But the reason why we're here is that I also think that you could potentially be interested in leading this project as well. And I think this is a great opportunity for you.
Right. So what did you have in mind when you say lead the project?
So
Just so that I understand what it is.
there's a few things. So I am not particularly interested in being in Indonesia.
Okay.
So I know that you could potentially be interested in spending more time in Indonesia.
Right. My
So-
family is there. So
Exactly.
yes, that
I'm
makes
looking
sense.
for the right harm. And I'm also looking for someone who is interested in being promoted and, taking the project to the next step after
Right.
that.
Right.
So that's why I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here to see if you are interested in that. If you are, there's a few things we need to talk about.
Yes. All right. So before we get to the brass tacks, maybe thank you for the offer. Yes, of course, I'm interested in taking the Indonesian market forward because of three reasons. Personal, one being my wife is there, and I've spent all of my time, as I mentioned, getting the management interested in Indonesia because of exactly what you said. It's an extremely fragmented market, and you need someone who understands the market in depth and who's done their background information in terms of building their networks and relationships with local clients in Indonesia, which will help us grow, which is what was the reason I was not for an acquisition strategy, primarily because, so as an example, as what the other company, Comat, did the exact same thing that you had in mind. So I have information to say that did not go well for them. So they went with an aggressive approach to acquiring companies in Indonesia. But because it's such a fragmented market, culturally it's very different. Every pocket works differently. The language of business, while it's Bahasa, when I speak Bahasa, is different in every pocket. There is business language, which is something that we need to be very, very aware of.
Okay.
which is one of the biggest reasons I'm saying an organic growth strategy through not an acquisition but growing organically is probably a little more time consuming, not as fast as the acquisition one, but it is a little more tested and will not be as dangerous. The risks that I see with that are much lower than an acquisition drive.
Okay.
So that's my interest, and thank you for the opportunity. So how would the arrangement work if I were to lead the project, assuming I'm interested, and it gives
So-
me time to be with my family, let's say?
I haven't. So this is a work in progress. We need to work on it together.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few things that I would like to understand better first.
Sure.
One of them is is understand what happened so far. I mean,
Mhm.
I know you have been working with your boss
Yes.
in this strategy. Why isn't the company growing as much? What were the reasons behind this?
To be honest, I would be happy to say I have an answer, but I don't. So it's been a big question mark even in my mind and in my boss's mind, because we've been lobbying for it for years together, and I think there's traction is finally.
So you think
taking
it
time.
was just because there was a lack of investment? in
Possibly
this?
investment in resources, yes, in both money and in terms of staff, all of the resources put together. It's just that it's not been the focus for A&M, but now Indonesian market is growing so rapidly that it's finally come to a point where we need to take a decision on focusing our attentions there, because that's where the growth is coming from. And I think it's just right timing, or wrong timing in the past. I don't have any data to say why not, because the region has been important for A&M, but it's just not been the focus for A&M, which is what we've been trying to do, which is what I've been trying to work on for the past 10 years with the company, to get people to focus their attentions on Indonesia, because the market is growing, there's a rich dearth of talent, and we could pay a lot of we can do a lot of things with the Indonesian market for A&M as a business. So yes, staffing and fund. Now that there's focus, it's a good start, but we still need to be very cautious in entering the market. I will tell you why. So one big reason is that you fail the first time, you don't get a second chance in Indonesia. It's impossible, almost, to prove yourself again once you've failed, because it's an extremely nationalist market. I'm not sure you're aware. I've lived there. My wife lives there. She's local, so I know the pulse of the market. So it's a very xenophobe culture, which means you need to have your right connections. You need to ensure that you grow with the country and you're not seen as an outsider trying to grow from the country, if you understand the
Okay.
difference. So that was one of my reasons to say an acquisition is possibly not the best route. I'm sure you have your own reasons, but that was my suggestion. Yes.
Okay, and why is it? How is your relationship with the rest of our team? Do you have?
Interesting. I think I've been in the system for about 12 years or 15 years now, so I would strongly say that I have pretty good relations with the team. In fact, the suggestion of me leading the project is an interesting thought, because I know a few more colleagues who would be interested in moving or relocating to Jakarta to help grow this business. They're equally interested, they're equally invested interests in getting the company to grow, and they have ties in the region which could be pretty useful for us to grow in the market. Yes.
So, what I mean by leading, I mean I would still be leading this project.
Mhm.
You would be the person.
Hmm.
Uh,
How would that work? How would that engagement work?
so you would be the person on site.
Mhm.
I would still need some. So if it's, I value your opinion, and we will have to discuss what all the issues that we will have, the questions we will have,
Mhm.
and whatever we agree on. Even if my decision is against what you think we should do,
Mhm.
I would still need to make sure that you would go through with it.
Right.
So that's the one of my concerns.
Right.
What I was saying in terms of leading the project is that if this project is successful,
Mhm.
then we will have an operation in Indonesia to lead,
Right.
and you can have you would be in a better,
Right.
great position to
Hmm.
be promoted and work from there.
Right. So I respect your opinion, and I think it's, while I understand that it is ultimately between the CEO and and the lead, which would be you in this case, to decide which strategy we would take. And I would be obligated to follow through whatever strategy the company decides is the best to go
Yes,
for.
exactly.
But I think it's only fair that I tell you my honest opinion.
Yeah,
on,
no, and I value that, and
yes,
that's exactly what I'm.
So the options that I
expecting from
have,
you.
if so, I personally believe that the acquisition strategy is not the best way to go, and we should consider alternative strategies to enter the Indonesian market. But so if we do decide to go with the acquisition strategy, assuming you have stronger reasons to.
We can talk about it, but in the end, it will be the CEO decision.
Right,
So
absolutely.
We will let's just agree on.
So I would tell you maybe if it does work out, that irrespective of which direction the CEO decides to take, I have a few things that we should talk about, and I think it's better that we talk about it before we meet the CEO. So I am looking at leading the operations from Jakarta primarily. So it hinges on three concerns that I have. One is, would it be possible for me to relocate and stay based in Jakarta? That's important because I get to travel less and I be with my family, so that's one. And I would also, when I say leading the project, it would involve me taking largely the decisions for the Indonesian market in Jakarta because of my presence in the field. It would mean that I would take non-strategic decisions. Of course, the strategic decisions will come from the group of experts, including you and the CEO, but I would need complete autonomy on taking the way forward as I see fit in Indonesia if it works out. And we would also have to talk about a little bit of a compensation raise because it's going to be a new project, and it would help in getting my resources and and the company's overall perspective of growth in mind, so that it's a new project, it's a new role, it's a bigger role. I would like to see if there's an option in maybe a compensation change from what I have currently. And I know that you also have ideas on, you can correct me if it's wrong, but there is an opportunity that you can say that you could hire external consultants to find out if the acquisition versus the organic growth strategy is better. I was wondering if you had some information on, do we have some data on, are we considering that? What do you have in mind?
We don't have any. We haven't
But are you
talked about any
Right.
consultants and.
That's another interesting point concern that I had is how financially strong are we to buy out a good competing company in Indonesia? Because this is going back to what I said. If they're not a strong enough company, then we have higher chances of failure, and I don't want that to happen for A&M. I don't want that to happen for you or for me or for the company in general. So background history suggests that if we do not have the muscle financially, it's going to be hard for us to establish presence, and it's just going to backfire on the way we take the Indonesian market forward. So yes, so that would be my primary concerns. If you want me, and respectfully now, I'm glad that you brought up that you value my opinion, and the CEO does too. That was one of my biggest concerns, that I've done the lobbying and the work for a while, and just poor timing that it's taken so long. And I was really looking forward to leading the operations in Indonesia and taking the market forward for A&M.
Yes, I am just not sure about the raise. I'm not sure if I have the budget to do that as of now.
Okay. I should
Maybe
also
it's something that
probably
we can talk with the CEO.
right.
I don't think I have the
Okay.
the power to do that.
Okay, so then we're left with two ideas. So I need a firm commitment from you on two things. One is that we will discuss both the acquisition and the organic growth strategy in the open forum with the CEO. You
Okay,
put
which
your
is fair. I also want this project to be a success. I
right. So
think
you
we can.
maybe you have your arguments which you're not, which I'm not completely aware of in terms of why you're looking for the acquisition strategy. Apart from the fact that it's faster, it's good to leverage and get into the market quickly. I have my own background information on
Okay.
my others, so maybe we can put that up
Yes. Okay. So,
and make the decision as best suited for the company without setting aside our pet peeves.
sure.
That can be a good start. The second is if it does happen that we decide to do one strategy which is not in line with mine, then I have two options. I'm going to be very candid with you. I'd really like working in A&M. It's been my company for 15 years now, and I really enjoy the people that I work with. I have more good days than bad days, which is a good start. But I should be honest and tell you that if it's not a strategy aligned with mine, I would be possibly looking to move to a different department. And I have my network in place, and I'm sure you're aware of. So nothing is formalized yet, but I will be considering a move to another department if it doesn't work out. But that's the last straw. If it does work out, and we come up with an arrangement, despite the strategy, that I would lead the project, and that I have complete autonomy on the way I run things operationally, that would be something I'll consider, with some sort of a semblance that there would be a raise as well.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any sense for me to lead the project and not be compensated for it, because I'm sure you understand it's a lot of work. Given your experience, you should know how difficult it is to get to a new market.
Yes, I mean, I guess that if we have sizable operations where you will have like that workload that you're talking about, I'm sure we can talk about the raise.
Right.
Right now we don't have that many. We don't have much.
Right. That's because we're looking at it from an acquisition standpoint. We don't have an operations in place, but I'm pretty convinced.
If we go from an acquisition standpoint,
right,
you would like to have a raise that it.
Yes. Relocation to Jakarta, complete autonomy in the way operations runs in Jakarta, and a raise. I don't want to give you a number, but if it's a non-starter, then there's no point giving you a number in terms of how much I'm expecting. But if you're open to discussing it, we could talk about that as well.
Yeah, but I think it's fair that if you have a bigger role, you get a better
right.
pay.
Right.
I agree with that. I just cannot
promise
discuss numbers.
Right. Fair enough.
I think if you have a bigger role, it's fair that you have a better pay.
But is it?
I don't have any information on numbers.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. But do you respect that it is going to be a bigger role if I get into the Jakarta operations? So there is a possibility. Okay.
I acknowledge that. I think it's only fair.
Right, but you should know that my decision to go with whatever strategy we implement is contingent on that as well. So that's not just the only reason or the only concern. That's one of the concerns that I will have, and it would bear.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, what we are here proposing to do is going to the CEO, discuss both alternatives: the growth acquisition, the growth organically, and the acquisitions-based approach.
Together. Yes.
And then whatever it is decided, you might consider being the lead.
Yes, I would go with the implementation
Exactly.
because I would have to, because it's a company, and
as long as you get a raise, because
Right.
you will have a bigger role, which is
Right.
fair.
And that I get complete autonomy in the way I
And
run
you get
things.
from the operations point of view, not
Right.
from the strategy point of view.
Not largely entirely, but I'm sure you understand.
You will
that
have your say, obviously.
Right, because I understand the market.
Exactly.
And, it would be better if we work together to find out which is the best strategy way forward.
Exactly.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
agree. Okay. So the possibility of looking to move to a different department,
Yes,
it's how does it fit here? That's
because because of what I said. I largely love working with A&M, and if things don't work out, and if our interactions do not go as well as I anticipated, well, it's going well now. But if it's going to be a challenge, because you have your views and I have strong views, it's going to be, and we have to be honest and call a spade a spade. If it's going to be hard for both of us to work, and it's not going to help the company move forward, whether it's in Indonesia or in Singapore,
okay.
then that's something I need to consider, because at the end of the day, I need to be happy doing what I do, and the same goes for you. So
are you?
So that is in the offing, yes.
The other thing that I need to make sure is that I can trust you, you can trust me, and we will have this good working relationship. Otherwise,
Right, that's
things don't work.
Absolutely. But that's something that we need to work on, because you earn trust. It doesn't happen with one meeting. It's a good start, but it's about learning to work with each other.
Yeah, so I was worried that you were not interested in actually building this relationship, because at this point you interrupted and said that's your problem, not mine.
Oh, that's
something that I was quite surprised.
I'm not sure what I didn't understand how you.
So a few days ago, when I mentioned to you that I would like your input on this project, you said that it's your problem, not mine. So
but I did send you a memo about how I think the growth strategy is better than the acquisition strategy. Did you not receive my memo?
Yes, I received your memo, but
Right.
it was
It's to the point.
well, it didn't really help me much.
Right. Right.
And that's that's what I'm talking about. If I need your input, I don't need only your opinion. I need a little bit more.
Right. So
than
I
that.
will tell you where that came from. So it's great that you're where you are in the company. I think your profile is pretty talks about there's precedence to where you are and why you are here. But there is a sentiment among companies and also strongly to me that it's not the best way to climb into the company, because there have been people, not just me, in the company who do a lot of work. There's a team which takes credit and not the individual. That's the way I function. So if there's a work that's to be done in Indonesia, it's not that I will take credit for growing the company.
Okay.
It's a team effort. That's not the feeling I got from you, to be very, very honest. It just...
Okay, so
And
let
that
me
doesn't
just
work
tell
well
you
with
that,
me. Yeah.
I was surprised that my promotion was announced before
Okay.
the other promotions and
Okay.
the other bonus. So basically, the last project I led, which was very successful, I made sure that everyone got their
Do?
job and knowledge and their contributions and knowledge. And next week, there will be an announcement on promotions from
Okay.
people that have worked with me.
Okay, that's great to know.
And pay rises as well.
Okay.
So rest assured that I don't intend to take the credit all for myself.
Okay, that's
not
interesting.
the way I work, and you
Right.
will see that next week.
Okay. I guess it's just bad timing because this is what we were saying, and I did not know about this. It's good
Yeah,
that we had this meeting.
exactly.
So that's the
So-
sentiment across office. So
Yeah, so that's unfortunate, and I don't think they did the things the right way.
right. Okay, that's interesting to know.
The second thing is that I think you haven't been given the right opportunities this far.
Hmm.
So maybe I think this might be your project, and I know that you've been fighting for this for
Right.
so long.
Right.
Now it's the right opportunity.
Thank
and
you
I
for
want to make
acknowledging
sure
that.
that
Mhm.
you will be in the right position. I know that one of the things that people are not sure about you is your interpersonal skills.
Mhm.
So this kind of responses that you give, I appreciate that you're being very honest, but at
Right.
the same time, it can give the wrong impression of you.
Fair enough.
Because from this conversation, I can see a different Rupert
Right.
I've seen before.
Right.
So
I think we
would
got
just-
off on the wrong foot.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's nice that you brought that up. If you speak to the other colleagues, you would know that that's not how I typically
And
work.
that's why I was asking you about
Right.
your relationship with the rest of
Yeah,
the
so
team.
it's pretty okay. So in fact, when we talked about the Indonesia project, there are a couple of people in my team who would love to come with me to Jakarta to make it a big success. So I think it's just a question of getting off on the wrong foot with each other, because there were a couple of instances. I remember one where you asked me why I was reading the newspaper, and that's the way I am. I'm a traditional person. I like doing things structured and traditionally. That's one of the reasons I'm saying organic growth is better.
Mhm.
But I think it's just a question of getting to know each other better.
Okay.
And I'm glad you put that fear in my mind to rest about how the team possibly is going to get credit for the work that you did, which is not something I was aware of. So that's
So
good
just
start.
to make that very clear, I want you to come with me to the meeting with the CEO and let's
Yes.
discuss things
Yes.
on equal foot. And whatever is decided, we go ahead.
Yes,
You will
consider it
relocate to Indonesia,
right.
spend more time with your family.
Right.
From the moment that we actually you have more things to
Do.
manage and to
Right.
do. From the moment that we actually have some operations
Right.
to lead, you get a pay rise and a bigger role.
I would have to get a firm commitment from A&M that there would be at least a 20% pay rise, assuming it becomes scalable and larger, but I would
Okay.
need some commitment because otherwise it doesn't make sense to take on the project.
What I can commit to is that I will bring that up to the CEO tomorrow.
Right.
Don't have the
Right, that's a fair start. Let's see how it
ability
goes.
to give you that pay rise.
Fair enough, but that's a fair start. But it's just that it's better that I put it on the table rather than not tell
Okay.
you. It's at least in my mind. I don't want to be a hypocrite and not tell you about it. So
Okay.
yes, and I would have autonomy, like I said, to work the way I want, keeping you in the loop, of course, for all strategic decisions, but all the local decisions with client relationships, networks, and leveraging our business units would be in my control. Is that understanding right?
Yeah.
Okay, that seems fair. So let's go to the meeting together and figure out how it goes.
Okay, I don't think we have to discuss now the organic strategy
No.
versus the acquisition.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Let's figure it out with the CEO. All right.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
cool. Thank you.